First thing first, hey Dr. Arpit, thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us on the Growth Mindset podcast. It is a pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure, Silawath. So I'm very happy and interested to be a part of this podcast. Growth mindset, the word you have kept is like my favorite because I think in life, the mindset is the main thing and growth mindset is the best mindset because a mindset can heal cancers. There's so many research now. The power of belief starts with your mindset actually.
Agreed. And that's why this conversation is going to be interesting. But
Hmm.
before we dive into our specific topics like gut microbiome or gut health or cancers and so on, I want to start off with some rapid fire questions that can bust some myths around all of these different topics, right? So let's start. Number one, true or false? Biopsies can cause cancer to spread.
False. The false. In expert hands, biopsies are safe and even necessary for diagnosis. And it's a very, very outdated fear. We have to debunk this and we have to change the mindset about this for a lot of people.
Perfect. Second, true or false? Hot water melts body fat.
Totally false. This is a great question and a great myth. Only discipline can melt fat and hot water can't. Even though ice bathing and ice water can actually to an extent melt fat.
Interesting. Third question, true or false? If you have cancer, you'll always feel symptoms early on.
Totally false again because most cancers are silent and if you get symptoms then probably it's very delayed. So cancers no symptoms, it's false actually.
Interesting. Okay. Fourth, true or false? You can reset your gut health in just 1 week.
You can start to reset your gut, so it is truish, not false entirely, but you can start to reset, but the real reset of gut takes through lifestyle and it full recovery can take up to weeks to months.
Okay. True or false? Sugar feeds cancer.
You can say that partially true because cancer is a fast growing cells of the body, so they definitely consume sugar, but it's not always true and it doesn't mean that you need to cut all carbs, stop all sugars, but so the main thing is focusing on balance. That's what the key is.
True or false? Gut health affects your mood more than your brain does.
This is true actually because there is something called as serotonin, which is your happiness hormone, and 90% of the serotonin is actually secreted in your gut. But there is one key thing, and my favorite topic is gut brain axis. And so, gut brain axis is that though 90% of the serotonin is made in the gut, so your mood is definitely regulated by the gut. But the gut brain axis is controlled by a very interesting nerve called as a vagal nerve, and that actually takes the thing, the serotonin in the gut and produces serotonin in the brain also. So though serotonin 90% is secreted in the gut, and serotonin for our listeners is the happiness hormone, but there has to be a calming pathway, and the vagal nerve connects through the gut brain axis, leading to the true serotonin in your brain also.
Interesting. True or false? Probiotics are essential for a healthy gut.
If you ask me in true and false, this is false because probiotics are good. Definitely they are good, but not always. Most commercial probiotics don't depend on your gut microbiome. They don't measure the acid or levels. Prebiotics along with probiotics and lifestyle matter more.
Okay. Drinking detox teas can prevent cancer.
Good marketing gimmick again. It's false. Your liver is your main detox organ. So you have to focus on liver detox, and again you have to sync your biology and be not just drinking a magical tea will not detox you and prevent cancer.
Got it. True or false? You should avoid biopsies if you suspect cancer.
Totally false. Avoiding biopsies can be dangerous if you're suspecting cancers. As we already said that in expert hands, biopsies these days have advanced so much that it's absolutely safe, and avoiding biopsy can be deadly for your diagnosis.
And last, true or false? A strong immune system can cure early stage cancer.
Very, very partially true. Immunity matters, but overall, don't just rely that blindly on it. It combines with early detection and treatment is the main thing. But obviously, your immune system is there, and I would, in other detailed question, I would break down the myth that your true healing starts from your body, and even COVID, cancer, anything you can outbreak and master if you have a strong immunity.
Okay, awesome. Now, before we dive into, our further detailed questions and more interview related questions, thank you so much for sharing those insights and busting those myths. I think those are very important. Before we dive into our conversation, I just want our listeners to understand who they're listening to. So, Dr. Arpit, would you like to just give them a quick brief idea as to what Dr. Arpit Bansal does?
I am a gut health expert and a cancer surgeon, a laparoscopic surgeon. I'm also a director of 200-bedded hospital here in Allahabad. So I run the hospital. So I do a lot of treatments. Being a director, I not just treat gut health and cancer, treat so many others. And my other found passion is longevity and health optimization. So we our listeners should understand that sadly, most people in India think that what is health for them. If I would start there, health is just mere absence of diseases for most of us, most of our people. But most people think that I don't have a disease, so I'm healthy. But we should
Hmm.
start asking ourselves our question: is that really true? You should ask yourself this question to you, and that's where the biohacking perspective of life comes in, that health is so much more than just avoiding diseases. Your human body is really capable of so many things. You see so many athletes. I was never a runner, so I'm a marathon runner also. I've run marathons. I'm a underwater meditator. I call myself the Aquaman biohacker. And even in people in Europe now recognize me as that, because I do underwater meditation, I do ice baths, and water. I feel it's not no coincidence. There's a 70% of the planet Earth is water, and
Yeah.
70% of our body is water. So when we talk about lifestyle diseases, cancer, we feel that it is a very lifestyle oriented thing. We know that, but we have to understand that the basis starts with our health, and water forms a very crucial part. Hydration, cellular dehydration is one of the main things which can ultimately lead. So in a nutshell, I will introduce that I am obviously a cancer surgeon, gut expert, but I am a medicine 3.0 expert. And what is medicine 3.0? So the traditional medicine, which I am also practicing as as a hospital owner and a surgeon, is great. Like, I'll give you an example of Rishabh Pant, for example.
Hmm.
That is classic miracle of medicine 2.0. He suffered with such life threatening fractures and injuries, and he's playing cricket for India again. So that is a big thing.
Yeah.
That is a miracle of modern medicine. But modern medicine only is great for acute issues like acute trauma, acute infections. But think yourself, for all the chronic diseases like the lifestyle diseases, diabetes, obesity, thyroid, hypertension, even brain neurological issues like dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinsonism, the modern medicine doesn't have a clear answer. They just curb the
Hmm.
symptoms, just suppress. If there is somebody's sugar is raised, they give medicines to just keep the sugar low, but
Yes.
not treating the root causes. That's where the medicine 3.0 is, I would not say a preventive approach. It's a proactive medicine approach. And with the
Hmm.
right testing, with the right depth knowledge about your gut, you can genuinely and scientifically treat and cure all the lifestyle diseases, even the neurological dementias. So life and technology, you are a techno person and we are doing this interview online, so our listeners should understand that technology has gone way ahead of time, and same has gone for the so much treatment, but we need to start from the basics.
Agreed. And I think this is very interesting. You pointed out, right? Like a proactive medicine in terms of not preventive, but being proactive. Now,
Mm,
this 3.0, you said gut microbiome, understanding it understands all of this. And I think I had a question around that as well, right? That it kind
mm,
of talks about earth, water, air, and fire, right?
yeah.
Now, so can you help us understand if someone had to be or take a stand or start this proactive medicine,
Mm,
what is the
mm.
first step in that? Do like are there some tests that they need to do for their gut microbiome? How does that work?
See, if you want to, let's start with the medicine 3.0 approach question only first. So, medicine 3.0 is, as I already said, not preventive medicine, it's proactive medicine. So, definitely proactive medicines includes doing a lot of tests. So, it is
Hmm.
extensive testing. Not in India, not everybody is ready for extensive testing. But again, so there are two approaches: acute infections, acute trauma. Again, the current medical scenario is advanced and is Rishabh Pant is again an example. But if you want to target any lifestyle diseases, and gut issues are all chronic, most likely.
Hmm.
Again, putting the not mentioning the acute infections issues, but so I have devised a blueprint for this, and I recently gave this talk in Europe in one of the leading longevity and biohacking conferences. They were like around 1,500 people, European audience, all scientific studies presented this perspective in a very very unique way. So I gave up my that we are all told in our lives that we have one body, nurture and care for it, but I've broken down into four different bodies. That's my blueprint, the four body blueprint, biohacking blueprint. And it starts with earth body, the physical body, because once we die, our body actually goes back
Hmm.
to the earth. So most people think of earth health only for the earth body. So earth body includes your physical movement, your movement, your gut health. Sleep is very crucial thing which is lagging, and muscle strength is important. Nutrition is important. Hydration is a key aspect of your maximizing your earth body. Then comes the water or the emotional body. These days, so many people are understanding with emotional stress and emotional issues in their life. So these are approaches with medicine. Three biohacking, actually you can biohack your emotional self, and that starts with blue mind and the red mind. That's my one of my favorite topics. We'll get into that more detail in a while. So water body is your emotional body, because I say that water and emotions both flow inside of us and even outside of us. Then comes the air or the mental body. Most of us, actually everyone, is living our lives inside our brains, as you all know. So our air and the mental body, because our thoughts are all actually in the air. There are no physical place where you can capture your thoughts. So if you understand your and biohack your air body or the mental body, you can change the game. And that's where breath work, stress management, lots of things come into. Then comes the fire or the spiritual body. Though this breakdown might seem spiritual, but I presented like 20 biohacks which are all backed by science. So for example, sunlight, it synchronizes your fire or the spiritual body. So whenever we talk about health, it is always good to take a perspective, like when we used to live on in Mother Earth, when we were like hunter gatherers, when we came to Earth. Then what happened? We used to wake up with the sunrise. There was no alarm clocks, and when we used to wake up, there were no WhatsApp, Instagram, where most people are checked. So as you see, wake up to sun rather than WhatsApp messages or alarm clock, you are already in that calm or the blue mind mode. So let's start here only, because I mentioned what is the blue mind and the red mind. As we already mentioned that we all live in our minds, and most of us, this current generation, is living in a red mind. And the red mind, uh, to a little head start, like for example, the nervous system. People have little idea about our nervous system. There is one voluntary nervous system and one is involuntary nervous system. Voluntary is like I'm moving my hand like that. I'm speaking. This is my all in my control. But the involuntary nervous system is broken down into sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system, for just for most people who are a little bit aware of, is the stress mind or the active mind, alert mind, focus mind. It's the adrenaline which we drive into. So, for example, again going to the hunter gatherers approach, when we were in forest, if a tiger or a lion comes next to us, we can't sit and meditate like a Buddha and activate our calm mind. The tiger will eat us up. So so then you have to activate your red mind. In our current scenario, for example, if you're sleeping 2 in the night, some burglar comes or some mishap happens, a fire breaks out, sorry, then you need to activate your red mind. And even in 2 in the night, by activate, body has amazing sympathetic pathway gets triggered, your brain gets sharp, your body, your sleepiness disappears, and then you'll run and you'll be super sharp. You'll not have mental fog at that time, and you'll do whatever it takes to save yourself and your loved ones. So that's the red mind. Red mind is crucial for our focus, for our alert, for our happiness, for our activity. But sadly, in this generation, everybody is living in a constant state of red mind. From the time we get up, we just start thinking on the task based network. We have to do this, and then WhatsApp message. So much alteration to our attention span, constant pinging of our WhatsApp messages and Instagram notifications has actually destroyed our mindset, since the growth mindset we are talking about. And the other parasympathetic system is the blue mind or the calm mind. People know it as the rest or the digest system. It is the system which is activated by the vagal nerve again, which is the gut and the brain axis. And also with the calmness. So blue mind, if I want to define it for our audience, is a mildly meditative state which all humans, I repeat, all humans reflexly achieve when they are near water, underwater, around water, or just listening to the sounds of water, or just seeing a water scenery. It automatically calms you down. So that is the blue mind. And in life, if we live in more of the blue mind, so obviously it's a balance again. I'm not saying that red mind is bad. The right balance of blue mind and red mind, if you adapt in your life, then you master stress. And there is a marker which you can measure. Being a biohacker, I am a crazy biohacker. I've traveled all across the world. I'm an international speaker. I speak at various international conferences. So like this is a ring the Aura ring, this is an Ultra Human ring, this is Apple Watch, this is the Whoop band which athletes use. So these help you track numbers. For example, the heart rate variability is one very crucial number, is not measured anywhere. You go to Medanta, Apollo, any big hospitals, you test this heart rate variability is not just your heart rate, it's how much your heart. For example, if I am a already told you I am a marathon runner, so I just did my 11-kilometer run in the morning today. So my heart rate was obviously high, right? So in extreme situations, the variability of how my heart rate can reach 180 in extreme zone 5 training when I'm working out, to when I'm meditating and doing breath work, I do underwater meditation, and how soon I can bring my heart rate down. That is your resilience, and not just your physical resilience we are talking about, your emotional resilience, your mental resilience, and even your spiritual resilience. And if you want to have a growth mindset, keep growing in life no matter what, then you have to measure your resilience, because I always say that if things you don't measure, you cannot improve.
True, true. I love it. I love how you covered all those important aspects when it comes to our health, right? And you're not only focusing on one area, you're focusing on all those four. I personally say this to my audience as well, right? Like you have four different pillars of your life: financial, mental, spiritual, and even financial, right? So you need to grow in all of those areas to ensure
Absolutely.
you're becoming a best version of yourself.
Yes.
And I think
And
to your
so here,
go
since
ahead.
you mentioned best version of yourself, so what is biohacking? Biohacking is a fancy term which people are now talking about. We see Brand Johnson, we see some people like that, and they're injecting themselves therapeutic plasma. Obviously, that's biohacking also. So biohacking is definitely use of high tech science based tools like all these things, but it's ultimately trying to be the best version of yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually. So it is a combination of that. And if you do that, then you master health. And then COVID, cancer. So again, at the onset, I would want to tell our listeners that cancer is nothing to be scared of anymore. The advancements in medical fields is gone way beyond being scared of cancer. So the research, the medical research is right now focusing on longevity, longevity or reversing your age. Because if you can reverse your age, then you can actually reverse all the diseases. And nature again. So I am a very nature person also, not spiritual, not religious, you should say. But my main religion is nature. Because I believe that nature has already decoded the longevity code. There is you might be aware of, there is a jellyfish called as Stauroptesis dohreni, which actually reverses the age and it can live forever.
Wow.
If it senses danger, you know about a butterfly and a pupa. Egg is born and then there's pupa and then the butterfly.
Correct.
And it flies off. Same life cycle is of a jellyfish. From an egg, they become a pupa and then become a jellyfish. And that jellyfish is so miraculous. If it senses danger in its environment, anything, a toxin, the shark or anything, it can reverse the jellyfish into a pupa phase and it can stay in that pupa phase forever. It will again sense when the environment is good, it will again become a jellyfish. So it can potentially live forever.
Wow, that's interesting. I never knew these facts. That's really interesting to know. One thing I want to pause here for a second. I think when you go back, there is a lot of echo, but when you sit in the front, there is very less echo. So is there?
Okay.
And I just want to validate if you have a team or you're someone that you are assisting, right? In the mix section of this studio, what do you see? Do you see your same earpiece that is connected as the mic? Or
It's earpiece is only connected because I can hear you only in the mic, and now laptop is only connected to the mic. There is nothing else.
okay. So laptop is connected to the mic. That's a separate, and hearing is
yeah.
this. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think then that should be fine. Maybe because when you're going back, no, I'm feeling audio
So
like
I will not move
echoes.
too much. No problem.
So that's fine. Maybe when the recording is done, no, maybe I think then that thing will go down. So that's fine. Okay, no worries. Okay. So I think one of the other things that I wanted to talk about here is very important, and I'm not sure. Okay, this is just something that just came up to my mind. Obviously, as you mentioned, that Brian Johnson, he was here in India. He was recording a few podcasts, and he recognized the air quality of Bangalore, no, Mumbai. I think he was recording, and it went really down. And then he actually left the studio saying, "You know what, the air quality is really down." And that person is spending millions of dollars every year on his health, right, in biohacking.
Absolutely.
And I've also heard a few, and I don't know how true this is, right? And that's where your expertise comes in. There are a lot of people that are also relying on nature to heal, things like cancer, right? So someone who's in modern science and at the same time you believe in nature, I've heard people also taking other approaches to healing cancer. Some call it biohack, for example, fasting for continuous days in advance to beat those cancer cells, because they say cancer cells keep multiplying on food and carbs and so on and so forth. What are your thoughts on those area? Does fasting help fighting
So
cancers?
fasting is one of my 20 biohacks, and I have placed it under the spiritual body because fasting is incredibly powerful. And it's no coincidence that every religion, including Hindu, Muslim, any religion they have some of the
Yes.
fasting as a spiritual recipe which they suggest their followers to practice. So scientifically, what does fasting does is, so if we talk about cancers, our body has everything. We have oncogenes get messed up due to the environmental toxins, pollution, plastics, microplastics, which get, there is some DNA mismatch, DNA toxins happening, which ultimately leads to cancer. So let's start that cancer is what? Cancer is a cell which is supposed to get destroyed by the body and thrown away by the body. It keeps on proliferating, keeps on multiplying, and then it becomes cancer. Our body has all the mechanism to remove that cancer, to kill that cancer. It is when a cell which becomes vague and rogue, actually, like a Gaddar cell, and keeps on growing. That's what cancer really starts to happen. When you do fasting, just a 24 hours fast, you don't need to fast for weeks or things like that. Just a 24 hours can fasting can activate a process called cellular autophagy. It is a cell's body's own defense and cleaning mechanism, and it cleans the toxins, it cleans the detox, cleans all these cancer cells, all the DNA which has messed up. The body can repair everything. So like body is capable if we let our body repair. And that's where
Yes.
fasting is definitely essential. There is no need for prolonged period of fasting. Intermittent fasting, which is a new trend, is
Yeah.
good, but again it is very individualized. Your body, you have to understand your body, and you have to ultimately get sync with your biology. And it's not, detoxification is not just liver, there is kidneys, our lungs are
Yes.
brilliant. So breath work also can help you detoxify. All these things come into play. So that is where I have built this blueprint, so that it can be a holistic yet science backed way to heal cancers, heal everything.
Okay, interesting. And for people that want to dive further into this Blueprint 3.0, right? How can they find that?
So there are a couple of videos about my talk, which is a 45-minute talk, where I break down all these blueprint into 20 powerful biohacks. It starts simple, by water, simple things. But how, for example, fasting is one of the biohack I already told you. So fasting is essential, but you should not follow anyone blindly. You should understand your
Yes.
body, and maybe once a month fasting, which is again as per our religious traditions also. In most of our religious traditions, it says that once a month fasting, in different names of gods or whatever you
Yeah.
call it. So it ultimately triggers our body's own defense cleaning mechanism, and it helps cleanse all the toxins, and that's how it helps in cancers. It helps in building immunity. Just resets your system, actually.
Interesting. And when we say fasting, does it mean uh, not eating and not even drinking, or do you mean, let's say, 24-hour fast someone wants to try? So what should they not eat and
So
drink
I
at all?
think when fasting mainly resolve around not consuming calories, because that
Okay.
is where so black coffee, green tea, no calorie drinks is okay. Water is okay with fasting, actually, because body
Okay.
to cleanse all the toxins, body needs water. So water is good, but you should definitely avoid anything related to calories to make your cellular autophagy, the body's cellular mechanism to clean all the toxins, work at its best. And a 24-hour fast can increase your cellular autophagy by up to 300%, which no
Wow.
medicine can do. Which no medicine can do.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And one of the other important things that I wanted to talk about, right, is cervical cancer. And you're one of those few surgeons who openly talks about cervical cancer and HPV vaccinations, right? So, what are these, and why is this still a taboo in 2025?
See, cancers we have discussed a lot. One of the most common cancer in women is cervical cancer in our country. And cervical cancer is actually caused by a virus. And that virus is called human papilloma virus. Like the HIV virus is similar to that. Human papilloma virus is the HPV virus. and it
Oh,
lives
okay.
silently in the women reproductive system for years before it turns into cancer. So
Hmm.
actually you can get tested for HPV right now. These days there's a common test available at good gynecologist. Everybody is doing it. And cervical cancer is one of the few cancers which is preventable by a vaccine which
Wow.
targets this HPV virus.
Hmm.
So ideally it should be given. A human papillomavirus is transmitted through sexual contact. So ideally, this vaccine should be given to children below 15 years, 20 years before they start their sexual activity. And this can almost guarantee like up to 95, 98% assurance that you will never ever get all the HPV related cancers. Human papillomavirus definitely causes like 98% of the cervical cancer, but it
Wow.
is also responsible for some kinds of oral cancer, some kind of even penile cancer for male. So again, there's a so the taboo is because in an India, many cultures there is stigma about discussing
Yeah.
sexual health. Even in medical context, people are scared to go to doctors, and that's where we need to. It's a preventable cancer, so we need to wake up and
Hmm.
we through podcasts like these, through awareness programs. I actually am very passionate about spreading. I go to schools to educate children because it's a preventable cancer, and then
Yes.
who wouldn't want and there is definitely a cost involved with the vaccine. Even the government is now supporting with newer vaccines, but we should try and take the trusted vaccine. And this vaccine is available in our country also since 40.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's like a it's a if a vaccine can prevent cancer, then who won't want that? So this message has to reach everywhere and not deal it with controversies that efficacies. Definitely, it has to be a science-backed way. So always consult your doctor before taking any vaccines.
Agreed. Now, in this respective scenario, you said, yeah, this vaccine typically needs to be taken before someone
Hmm.
gets involved in sexual activity, which is before 15 years of age and so on. But what
That
if
is
someone
typical.
has already passed
So
that?
the vaccine, the efficacy of the vaccine reduces slightly. That maybe
Okay.
the protection will be 90%, not 98%, but it is 90% protection against deadly cancer like cervical cancers is still great. And again, reminding that this vaccine doesn't just protect you from cervical cancer. So I,
Yes.
as a being a male, I have also taken it. It prevents male cancers like reproductive organ cancers, and already mentioned some head and neck, oral, mouth, and cancers also are caused by this
Correct.
virus. So by this one vaccine, you get protection from all these cancers which was caused by this deadly human papilloma virus. And this virus stays in your system for years, sometimes even
Hmm.
decades to cause cancer.
Wow.
So it gives you ample amount of time. But sadly, the one more myth is that people wait for the symptoms to go for the doctor, and that's
Hmm.
where the issue with cancers is. If you wait for symptoms, if you wait for pain, then probably cancer is already late. So that's why
Yeah.
preventive oncology, proactive oncology is like getting screened. Human papilloma, like in outside India, there is a protocol. Everyone over 30, 35 gets this human papilloma virus test done. And if it is
Hmm.
the virus is there in your system, there are ways to remove it before even it can cause anything related to cancers.
Interesting. I think that's a very important pointer that you brought out, and I hope people realize the importance of this because something like this can be prevented. Imagine how many lives could be saved,
Absolutely.
how much.
There are so many lives, and plus India contributes to like around 20% burden tumor
Wow.
load in terms of cervical cancers all over the world. That is how it is rising because of the poverty, because of the hygiene issues, because of basic issues like clean water, clean
Yes.
nutrition for a lot of
Yes.
Indians.
Wow. Yes, guys. So please go ahead and get your tests done and get these vaccinations done. Research, do what is needed so that you can be healthy, stay healthy for a longer time, and obviously, and I think all of this revolves around also lifestyle, right? Like how are we living our life, and that medicine 3.0. There is a lot of information that is coming out to this audience today. So I want you guys to you know take this in, soak this in, understand, spend your time, and then take those preventive measures. I think the second point to one of the other questions I had was there are so many types of cancers, right, that are existing today. And this is a good segue to our previous question, like how can, in general, people do something, maybe lifestyle changes or so on, that can help them prevent or fight. Prevent, I would not say fight is a later stage, but prevent themselves
Hmm.
from so many type of cancers that exist today.
So, if you want to prevent cancer, it is called preventive oncology. Your risk of cancer starts with the way you live every day. If I would
Hmm.
like to like give a 5 pillar method for avoiding cancers, it will start with again hydration. So, do you know that cellular hydration is one of the root causes of cancers? Because we already were
Wow.
discussing mechanisms that the body can
Hmm.
cure cancers and
Yes.
Body can undo the effects of DNA defects through environmental toxins. So many things. Just by cellular hydration, by keeping your hydration at its peak, is the future of detox actually, and it can kill cancers. It cannot let cancers start. So that's one thing which you can do. And in respect to the previous question, most females in India, young females and even working class women, what is the common way they choose to avoid the unhygienic washroom is drink less water. So
Yes.
there are lots of interesting new ways for females to fight off the unhygienist of the washrooms. You can use sanitizer sprays, you can use pee buddies, but keep hydrated. And not drinking water is doing so much more harm to your body than trying to risk a unhygienic washroom. So the 5 pillars to avoid cancers is hydration, number one. That has to be clean hydration. Then there can be so many, we can talk in depth about hydrogen water, the alkaline water. There are things like
Yes.
that also. But hydration is the first thing. Number two is fix your gut.
Mm.
Because most issues in our body, actually Hippocrates, I am a doctor, so when we take our Hippocrates oath, so many down the years he predicted that all disease begins in the gut. And that is so
Mm.
true today. And now science is actually backing that data, because 80% of our immune system actually lies in our gut. And when we talk about fixing our gut, you should understand that fixing our gut, people think that I have genetic issues. My mother is debating a little bit about diabetes or cancers also. You can join the same thing. If somebody's mother or father had X cancer or had diabetes, they believe that the cancer or the diabetic gene runs in my family. So
Mm. Yes.
I'm most likely to get it. But I am here to tell and clear to everybody that your genes define only 20% of what you are, and
Mm.
80% or up to 80 to 90% of how you are is how you interact to your environment. And that environment begins in our gut.
Mm.
Again, through our childhood, we have been trained that bacteria is bad. Bacteria causes infections. Our
Yes.
listeners should understand that there are thousands, millions of bacteria which are actually good. And since the invent of antibiotics, since the invent in COVID scared everybody, so we sanitize everything with and kill bacteria on our surfaces, kill bacteria in our mouth also. You open a mouthwash, it's written
Yeah.
it kills 99% of the bacteria.
Correct.
And there is a microbiome. So our gut is actually a microbiome of millions of bacteria, and mostly good. So imagine like a rainforest. When you go to a
Mm.
rainforest, everybody's gone to a forest some other time. You see long big trees, you see bushes, you
Yes.
see moss, you see small weed trees, you see fungi, you see some small different kinds of trees. So that's how our gut is also. There is tons and crores of good bacteria. There is some fungi,
Mm.
some bad bacteria also, but it is like an ecosystem. So if fixing your gut is not just consuming probiotics, it's understanding your gut, and treating is a very specific thing. There is no superfood which can heal your gut. So we can
Mm.
discuss that later. But again, coming back to the 5 pillars, if you want to change your lifestyle, is hydration, gut, fixing your gut properly, then sleeping well. It is
Mm.
very, very underrated. Again, I will go back to
Yeah.
my hunter gatherers approach. So when we used to live in forest, there used to be it used to come evening. We used to, after sunset, we had no option but you
Yes.
maybe light a fire, cook some food, and go to bed.
Yeah.
And there was no parties. So once Thomas Edison invented the bulb, it was good. And humans have this mindset that we want more out of everything. We
True.
want more out of every day. Apart
True.
from living the day, we started encroaching the night. We wanted to party in the night. We want to go to bars, clubs,
Yeah.
socialize in the night. And that messed up our cycle, our circadian rhythm. That's
Yes.
where, so sleeping is one of the most powerful biohacks, if I should tell you. It treats cancers, it keeps your immune system at its peak, because all our body's organs, including liver, including kidneys, including our gut, including our brain, everything detoxifies during our sleep. And
Yes.
8 hours of sleep is essential for everybody. And if you do simply follow this, then you'll like change the game of in terms of cancers. You can automatically prevent cancer. So the third thing is sleep well. Fourth, if I want to tell you, is move daily. Again, simple, all simple thing which I'm telling you. Again, going back to the same hunter gatherers approach,
Yeah.
there were no exercise. Exercise is a term which we invented, because we again when we used to wake up with sunrise, we were in forest, we used to move kilometers. to hunt for food, to look for food. So movement was a natural part of our body, and there was no need to do exercise because we were moving daily. Then
Yes.
sadly, we have made our lives so comfortable, like with Zomato, Swiggy, we just press a button and the food comes to us. So by making our lives comfortable, we had to actually invent something called as exercise. We had to invent gyms and treadmills to run there. So movement daily is like a non-negotiable thing. You eat daily, you
Mm.
drink water daily. So movement in some or the other form, obviously there has to be rest days, but in rest days you move less. It doesn't mean you don't move. So
Yeah.
movement daily. And five things. The fifth one, if I would say, is like reduce toxins in your diet, try to be more natural. Microplastic is a big danger for cancers, which is a silent danger. Most people consume Bisleris, so stop, carry your own water bottle everywhere. Cancers doesn't just happens in 1 day or 2 days. It happens silently. So much,
Hmm.
if you keep your immune system at peaks, you can easily beat cancer.
Okay, interesting. So I think you've covered some very, very important pointers, and I think these are not something which are very crazy for people to follow. These are very basic and like this is how nature built us. And I think we've digressed,
Absolutely.
as you said, from how we're supposed to live. Hence, we have all of these new issues that we typically see coming. Now, also on the topic of cancer, before we move to the gut, because I know that you said 80% of the diseases typically start from the
Mhm.
gut, right? So one last question I have around the cancer is, what is the biggest cancer myth that is literally costing lives right now?
If I would want to say the biggest myth, it will be like, if there is no pain, it is not serious.
Mm,
That's because, again, people believe that unless there are symptoms, I should not visit a doctor. This is one of the deadliest myth because most cancers are silent.
mm,
Breast, cervical, colon, pancreatic cancers, it can be all be symptomless until it is very late. So if you
mm,
wait for pain, if you wait for symptoms to appear, it is already late. Screening can save lives even if you feel fine. So you
mm,
should keep, and in the same things. So it's not that your body doesn't give you signs, but cancer signs can be very, very subtle. For example, loss of appetite, loss of
mm,
sleep, loss of
mm,
weight, little loss of weight, not feeling happy, not feeling on top of your games. These are how the cancer starts. And
mm.
so this is a very vague symptoms. You cannot predict it, and this happens sadly to many humans, many Indians. So
Yeah.
they are scared. But if you are above 30, 35, or if you have any lump in your body, if you have any bleeding from your body, then don't ignore it. Research about it,
Mm,
and if possible, ideally visit your nearest doctor, your family doctor, and not just to take medicines, but to understand why it happened. So your
mm.
body, I believe it, they keeps giving you signals, and if you don't listen to those signals,
Yeah.
then there'll be a one day which it starts screaming into your ears.
Yeah.
Ultimately, when the cancer is full blown.
Yeah. And there's one question that I want to ask, and this is different from the topics that we are discussing. But the reason I want to ask this is, in my family, right? In my relatives, this seems to be a very problematic thing, and it seems to be
Mhm.
very common across our bloodline and our relatives, and that is to do with there's gallbladder stones and kidney stones,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So do you have any insight as to why do you think those kidney stones, or let's first start with gallbladder stones happen, and what could be the possible lifestyle changes that could potentially solve this?
So, as we already discussed, liver is one of our most powerful detox organs, and gallbladder is an organ. So, liver is the main place where bile is
Yes.
produced and
Yeah.
secreted.
Yeah.
Bile is a thickish liquid which helps in digestion.
Yep.
There's a something called as liver is formed in the bile, the left and the right hip parts of the liver, and they merge
Mm-hmm.
into something called as the common bile duct. It
Okay.
takes the
Yep.
bile into the digestive system, into the small gut, and
Yep.
bile have enzymes, fats to digest different kinds of proteins, fats, everything. And gallbladder is an organ. It's like an extra storehouse of bile.
Okay.
Bile doesn't get formed in the gallbladder; it is
Yes.
stored in the gallbladder. But if, like, for example, if you take a mucky water, you store it in a pot.
Correct.
Sometimes it can form sediments. If there is imbalance in the bile structure, there is some hormones, some enzymes, then due to that imbalance, it sometimes forms stones.
Hmm.
Gallbladder stones, once it is formed, it is not scientifically possible to remove the stones with medicines.
Hmm.
Gallbladder removal surgeries, I'm a laparoscopic surgeon, so it's like bread and butter. Gallbladder removal surgeries is
Yeah.
the only answer once the stones are formed. To avoid it, we have to keep our hydration, all these things again
Hmm.
at its peak. to
Got it.
avoid getting imbalance in the bile duct system, and then to avoid forming stones. On the kidney stones, if I talk, is a little different, because gallbladder stones, if once it is formed, cannot be flushed out of the system, because gallbladder ultimately opens into this bile duct. So if there is a
Hmm.
small stone, you flush out that stone, and the stone gets stuck in the bile duct, it will limit the main bile secretion
I
leading to the
see.
gut. So it can cause jaundice, it can cause vomiting, it can cause more problems if we
Hmm.
try to flush the gallbladder stones.
Hmm.
Additionally, gallbladder stones are usually not single. Sometimes it's single also, but there are multiple stones. So once
Hmm.
formed, it's again not formed in one day. It is lifestyle imbalances, it's
Yeah.
toxins, it's not eating the right diet, not maybe consuming too much fat, too much sugars. All these things
Yeah.
contribute. But in kidney, again, kidneys, why it is formed, it is due to cellular dehydration, due to lack of water. If you drink
Hmm.
less water, so kidney stones, if they are small, there are great medicines which can remove the small kidney stones, because kidneys produce urine and ultimately they can be
Yeah.
flushed out of our systems.
Correct.
So kidney stones are a little different and can be treated with medicine. Surgery is only indicated if you have genuinely ignored all the signs and the condition has become little tough and the stones have become too much big in size, causing pressure in the kidneys. Then you'll have to do surgery, obviously.
Got it. Got it. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that as well. Now, one of the other thing is, and this is where it's a good segue for us to get into, which is a more important thing, which is gut health, right? Now, you said gut health does contribute to a lot of illnesses, 80% of the acute illnesses that we have, that people get typically. So, is that also cancer also a part of that category or no?
So definitely, cancer, all chronic diseases, ultimately the main
Okay.
root cause is inflammation. So it starts with consuming inflammatory foods, and that's where the gut health is important. So I already gave a little bit picture about what gut health is. It's about, there are the trillions of microbes which are there
Yes.
in our gut, and every food we eat, different kinds of bacteria helps digest it. So all these microbes which are there in our gut lining, like there is some bacteria on our skin also. So same,
Hmm.
whenever we consume any food, the first thing the food comes in contact is not with our body cells, but actually the good bacteria cells, and
Hmm.
they determine whether they'll how to digest it. And so your gut is like your one of the most, your second immune system, actually, if you would want to say. So
Hmm.
all things, from cancer, from all chronic diseases, even arthritis, which is people might think is nothing related to gut, starts with consuming inflammatory foods which are very specific to somebody. So there are a lot of fat diets, protein diet, keto diet, don't eat that.
Hmm.
There are you read articles every day about this is a superfood, avocado is a
Yes.
superfood, berry is a
Yeah.
superfood.
Yeah.
So I would change that today, that there is no superfood for everybody. There is no
Hmm.
single thing which can be a superfood for everything. For example, avocado indeed is a superfood, in partly because when you eat it, it has good fats, which helps your heart health, your digestive health, your immune system health. But it depends on whether you have the right set of good bacteria in your gut to digest that avocado. Because
Correct.
if you have the bacteria to digest it, then obviously it's avocado is good for 80% people. They have that bacteria, good bacteria. So for 80% people, avocado is indeed a superfood. But for the to label it as a superfood for everybody, and
Everyone.
maybe they
Yeah.
fall in that other 20% category, which they don't have, the avocado can cause you bloating. So you might
Hmm.
have understood that, heard many times, that sometimes some people milk causes constipation.
Yes.
For some
Yeah.
people, milk causes a smoother gut. So it's
Yeah.
very, very personalized. We have to understand that our gut health is very, very personalized, and your body gives you symptoms. Suppose you eat anything, your body will give you symptoms. Again, following any oats is also healthy, definitely. But it
Hmm.
all again depends whether you have the right set of bacteria to digest
Yeah.
that oats.
Yeah.
Otherwise, oats can also cause you bloating, gas, IBS, so many other things. So don't go to a dietitian, or don't just read and start anything randomly. Listen to your body. Body gives you signals, and it is a very personalized approach. So most people are not able to catch that thing your body is trying to say,
Hmm.
because it gives you very subtle signs, and we are
Yeah.
already discussed, we are involved in our red mind, and we are not listening to
Yes.
our body truly. So if
Yes.
you can't understand, there are tests which include the gut microbiome test. For
Hmm.
example, I am a health optimist. By God's grace, I don't suffer from any disease. but I got my gut microbiome test out of curiosity, and my gut says that I have 5,000 different types of bacteria. Numbers are obviously in trillions. It has
Yeah.
90% good, some bad also. So we are not aiming for 100% perfect gut.
Mm.
You don't go to the rainforest and cut off the weeds, cut off the moss.
True.
We need an ecosystem, so we need a
Yes.
balance. The important thing is so my gut report said, as I mentioned, 5,000 bacteria, and as per that, I should not be eating pineapple, beetroot,
Huh?
and sweet potato. All these three things ultimately are very healthy. Nobody would
True.
guess you to stop eating pineapple, stop eating
True.
beetroot, stop eating sweet potato. They're all good foods, but
True.
my gut doesn't have those sets of bacteria which can digest all these three, so they can cause inflammation in my body and ultimately lead to
Interesting.
chronic inflammation over years, will lead to
Yes.
arthritis, inflammation, immune system diseases, and even cancers to an aspect. So the key thing to understand for people here is everything is inflammation. Even aging happens because of inflammation actually.
Mm.
We are
Yeah.
aging because we are imagine we are slowly getting cooked in the oven. Actually, we are slowly inflammating and we are getting aging. So cancers is just one part. We are aging. We can even stop down aging or reverse aging or even lessen the effects of aging if you understand your gut truly and eat accordingly.
I
Sorry for
love
the
this.
lengthy explanation, but it was quite detailed actually.
I think this is what this was needed for folks, right? Because as you said, there are so many articles, there are so many
Hmm.
things online that you find that this is the superfood, this is the superfood. Everyone's trying to sell you one or the other fruit or some other supplements that say this will help you and all. But I think the beauty of what you said is it's not about what you eat, it's about what your body can digest.
Absolutely.
I think if
And
people
so I am a
understand
big
that,
fan of supplements. I'm a big fan of supplements. Even being a nature person, here I will deter a little bit. I am a nature person, so we should all actually, since we are talking about microbiome, I should mention this here. So you can't say that I'm having a sattvic diet, I'm eating only organic, so I won't have any
mm,
supplements. Because again, once we invented antibiotics, we mastered the game of infects. Simultaneously, we invented pesticides, fertilizers,
yes,
and we destroyed the microbiome and the good quality soil, good bacteria in the soil. And same way we started destroying nature, we messed up the planet biodiversity. So I think
yeah,
my mission actually is to unite conserving the biodiversity of our planet is not just conserving the biodiversity outside of us, it's inside of us also. If we
true,
understand this, then helping the climate is helping ourselves. We have to,
yes,
the keyword is biodiversity. We have, and so here one more important thing is that people believe that we already discussed probiotics. Probiotics, for listeners, probiotics is the live good bacteria which some foods like dahi, kimchi, and
yes,
kombuchas they have. Prebiotics is the fiber which the good bacteria act, which is the food for the good bacteria. So we need
mm,
fiber in our diet, not for us. We don't get any benefit from the fibers. It's the
mm,
food for our good bacteria. If we
mm,
keep feeding
mm.
the fiber, the good bacteria will flourish, and so will our immune system, and so will our health. So we
Correct.
need to understand that.
Interesting. And for people to understand more about this gut health, and obviously, I think the first step is to get that test done, gut microbiome test, to understand what actually works for these individuals, and then try to avoid those foods, right? But in general, what are those food items that you know typically cause inflammation? And
Mhm.
then which are those foods that are actually for general audience, like 80% of the audience, good for them to consume for their gut health?
So, see, again, gut health. One more thing is that we need to diversify. Diversity is the
Mm,
main word here. So, for example, I'm not saying that curd is great, but most people consume the good bacteria, only 4 to 5 species of good bacteria they consume. Curd has lactobacillus, bifidobacterium, and kombuchas have different kinds of things, different kinds of bacteria. So again, I'm not saying stop eating curd. Please continue eating curd, continue eating. The key thing is eat more fermented foods, include kanji, the fermented drinks of beetroot, include
mm,
local seasonal fermented drinks. For example, you can ferment pineapple and get a beautiful drink also. That's called
mm.
tapache. You can Google
Okay.
that recipe. And kimchis, then achars, and people, for example, if you leave rice overnight, it has some fermentation happening. Dosas, South Indians are in
Mm,
general healthier than North Indians because of chutneys, because, and even North Indians, they have different chutneys. So whichever season is going on, you have local seasonal chutneys that will diversify your gut. And so the main thing is not just consuming one type of probiotics or prebiotics. You
I
have to
see.
uh, eat different fermented foods, including you can have kombuchas, which is a good trending thing. Instead of alcohol in your evening parties, switch to kombuchas, which I have to already, and then go fiber heavy. So like seeds, different kinds of millets, different kinds of fruits you should include to include fibers. Hydrate, again, I already told about
Yes.
hydration. Then movement, all these things play a role, basic role. The things
Hmm.
which should avoid in general for inflammation is, number one is sugar.
Oh,
Sugar is all bad. All
yeah.
sugar is bad. And here I will tell that brown sugar, cane sugar, honey,
Jaggery?
good,
Yeah, yeah.
jaggery, good, they are ultimately sugar, and it is ultimately inflammatory to your body. Jaggery is definitely better than white sugar because it has some antioxidants, has some iron, it has some additional benefits
Hmm.
with some antioxidants. But ultimately, it's sugar. So,
Sugar, yeah.
body, the only sugar which you are okay to have is with the natural fruits. And
Hmm.
again, juicing the fruits breaks the purpose. You shouldn't,
Yes.
I would not suggest, obviously, added sugar is a crime in the juice, but even just juicing sugar and having the fruit juice is not great actually. You should consume the whole fruit instead of juicing the sugar. One of everything is okay. And one of, like for after a run, if you have a sugarcane juice to get a boost of energy, that's good actually. That's not a bad, but
Hmm.
a routine healthy diet should not have more juices, it should have more fruits. And main again thing is antibiotics. Avoid unnecessary antibiotics. For
Hmm.
example, you this is in India, sadly, anybody can go and
Yes.
consult a chemist and they can give you any antibiotics, and that destroys you much more than it gives you better. So unless until
Hmm.
it is clinically proven that, or a clinician suspect that there is an infection, then I'm not saying, I also prescribe antibiotics to so many people. So antibiotics are good, but avoid them unnecessarily. And
Got it.
avoid unnecessary cleanses, which I feel that there are a lot of gut cleanses,
Yes.
things happen in the marketing gimmicks, which
Yeah.
which does more harm than good. Your
Hmm.
everything in nature in our life is like your gut wants rhythm, not perfection. That's what I'm trying to say.
Interesting. Now, since you spoke about those gut cleanses and what was that? There's another thing, let me, because that's an interesting one, right? Gut
Detox kits,
cleanses
gut
and
detox.
yeah, detoxes, probiotics are everywhere, right? So what do you see? What do you see currently, which is trending right now in terms of these
Hmm.
cleanses, but that is actually BS? You've already said most of them are, but anything that comes to
So like
top of your
one
mind?
one week gut detox kits are not great. Some are good to start it. I already mentioned in the
Hmm.
true and false session that the real gut, and for example, I was mentioning about my report. So our gut microbiome is continuously evolving. It's not that my system doesn't have beetroot bacteria. So
Correct.
it changes over time. It's not that once this report is done, it is there for life. It is not like a gene. It's so this is the
Hmm.
difference between genetics and epigenetics.
Hmm.
Epigenetics is your environment. Like environment keeps on
Okay.
changing. If I fly down and start living in London, my gut back microbiome
Hmm.
will change. If I even shift from Malabar to Bangalore, the quality of water, the quality of food will
Yes.
change my microbiome. So
Okay.
the main thing is that your gut isn't like a kitchen. You cannot flush things out. And if you are
Hmm.
doing that, you're doing more harm. And these kits
Hmm.
usually do more harm because, again, it is a very generalized thing. A gut hand in anything cannot be generalized. It has to be a very personalized thing.
Yes.
True gut healing is a long term relationship with your thing, not a weekend getaway. It's a long term relationship, and you need to understand your signals, your bodies, and eat according to your gut, and so that in a nutshell you avoid your own inflammatory foods. Basic things we already pointed out. Sugar is bad for
Yeah.
everyone. Once of
Yeah.
and all is okay. I also sometimes have desserts, but that's one off fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Now, this is interesting because this is what I wanted to know, right? Which daily habit is completely overrated according to you, right?
Hmm.
And which is an underrated habit that you think people should incorporate that could add, let's say, 10 years to their lives?
Very my favorite question again. So overrated, I would say, is multivitamin pin. Multivitamins. There is
Mm-hmm.
no one multivitamin, or actually no one pill which can change your life, which can give you vitality, which can give you energy. So any pill which is a multivitamin pill is ultimately not giving you anything. You're not fixing deficiencies. You're just creating more pressure on your systems to flush out those toxins. Well, multivitamin pills, I think, is overrated. Without testing, you should understand which you are deficient in, and then target the specific vitamins, minerals. I'm a big fan of multivitamin supplements, but not multivitamins. You should have vitamin D separately. Vitamin D has to be taken with vitamin K2, which is not there again.
Correct.
Vitamin C is a thing which everybody should ideally be consuming on a daily basis. Vitamin B12 is great for mental fog and for nervous system health. So these are good, but multivitamin is overrated. And what I would say is underrated is sleep, consistent sleep.
Yeah.
Consistent. I think you should protect your sleep like you guard your money. If you have 10 lakhs in your house, you will guard your money. It's
Yeah.
more important is to guard your sleep. And that happens not just so you have to keep the and make the environment as soon as the sleep becomes when one off socializing is still okay, but daily socializing, obviously daily alcohol, daily parties is not well. Ideally, you should. It's 5:30 right now, so it's not sunset. After sunset, and usually on talks, I have my biohacking glasses on, which I wear. I will see if I have my on my bag. I'll show for my audience. Let's
Sure.
see. These are my biohacking glasses. This is
Interesting.
simple yellow blue light filter glasses. So once I wear this
Oh.
specifically after sunset, and specifically when you are watching screens, phones, so many things, it filters off the blue light, the harmful blue light, because naturally after sunset we are not supposed to see the blue light. It messes up with our melatonin secretion, the melatonin, the sleep hormone. And if we
Yeah.
but just a simple biohack, obviously it costs something, it's not free.
Yeah.
But if
True.
you are people who are working on screens, people who are everybody's on their phones actually, right? So
Yes.
ideally after sunset everyone should wear this. Just by this simple biohack you'll get better quality sleep, get your metabolic flexibility of your body is high, so you will automatically your sugar spikes will also stop. You will It's a game changer actually.
Wow.
It makes you consistent with your circadian rhythm. Again, going back to the hunter gatherers approach, after
Yes.
sunset we are not supposed to, because the blue light naturally fades. There is darkness, and
Yes.
fire doesn't have blue light, but our LED lights, the light which is
True.
screens, they have
Yes.
lots of blue light. It spoils our attention spans. It again messes up with our brain. It messes with our circadian rhythm. And so it's one anti-aging habit which sleep, guard your sleep like more than anything.
Interesting. And I like the fact like how updated you are with all of these new tech that is coming up. You showed me a couple of rings that you're wearing that track your blood sugar levels
Yeah.
and the kind of food you eat and how it spikes your blood
Yes,
glucose
yes.
levels and all of that. That's amazing because I remember this because I had spoken to the founder, I think, of Ultra Human on
Yeah,
one
yeah,
of
yeah.
my previous podcasts, and he kind of because
Okay.
I had never come across that. And he had sent me a sample of that, and it definitely was amazing, right? It kind of gave me insight that I never knew. Like, okay, if I
So
eat this type of food, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. So these rings don't give you the glucose spikes. That is called something called as continuous glucose monitoring. I have a patch here. It will not show because I'm a research.
Yes,
And then
yes,
then so I am not diabetic. It's great for diabetic people to understand what they spike, but as I already mentioned, sugar spikes are not just caused by sugars, they are caused by so many
yes,
other things also. It is
true,
again a very personalized thing. Something might be causing sugar spike to me, might not cause sugar spike to you.
exactly.
So I, being an athlete, being a health optimist, being trying to be the best version of myself continuously every day, I use the same Ultra Human CGM, the continuous glucose monitor, which connects with my ring to give me my metabolic score,
Yes,
how my sugars went down in the night, in the morning. And so that is a good way to understand your body. Obviously, these are tech things. I am into this field. I'm publishing some data. So that is why I am updated and I speak at various conferences. Not everybody needs to have a CGM.
true. Agreed. But it's good for folks to at least understand, right? Like, okay,
Absolutely,
if you can
absolutely.
afford it, this is something they'll give you an
And
insight
it's
into
not
your
that
own body.
costly. In our
Yeah,
lives,
yeah,
we spend so many money. We spend like 7,000-8,000 over a dinner with our friends.
exactly.
That will give you a CGM for 15 days. So
Correct, exactly. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about is your own personal experience. Now, obviously, you're a surgeon, you've operated on thousands of people. Has there any surgery that has kind of shifted your spiritual perspective on life or death for that matter?
there have been so many surgeries, but I would mention about one surgery definitely. Spiritualism is everything, and to start with, I would say that science, spirituality, and nature, all these things are deeply intertwined. If you understand, if you go in the depth of all these things, ultimately they are linked, and there is one union point to all of these things. So there was once a mother whom I was operating with stage 4 cancer, young mother, and I knew medically we couldn't change too much. But when I met her before the surgery, I met her with her eyes. I saw her in her eyes. She had pure trust, like surrender and peace. That moment changed me. That I realized that I'm a surgeon. I've cut cancers all my life and removed other gallbladders and non-cancer things also. So it's about holding space between life and death, and it's about doing with compassion. And it as surgeons, some people sometimes start getting that I healed this person. I as doctors, as surgeon, we are just the channel. I think we can just do what is needed, but we cannot heal anybody. First of all, nature, our body is also nature, and nature heals itself. And that's where there is a faint line which I surrender to nature, that I am no healer. I am just a channel which I do my work. And even if I do surgeries, so because there are so many things where on table on a surgical thing, we can do everything, but still the patient will not make it. And there are some things where we don't do enough, and still the patient makes it. So there is something above us which is there, and that is where I surrender to spirituality. So I'm not a religious person, but I believe in energies, I believe in universal synchronicities and all those things. So that's where I surrender to nature.
Interesting. Love it. And that's very rare actually to be that we find across other doctors I've seen, but that's beautiful.
But that's true actually.
Yep, yep. And last few, I know we are coming to the end, but there are, I would say, 3 more questions left that I think we can probably cover that will also help the audience. What's a medical myth you wish social media would stop spreading, and why are people still falling for it? The reason I ask you this, Dr. Arpit, is because you're also on social media and you have quite a good following. I don't know if you'd like to call it, some people don't like social media influencer, but
No,
so
it's okay.
what are your thoughts?
So just out of the blue, I think like alkaline water prevents cancer. This is a myth. These are kinds of myth. It should not be a generalized thing. See, alkalinity in our body is good. It sounds sciencey also, but it's not always true. Your body regulates pH so tightly, and not with just our water, but how we are breathing. Different kinds of breathing can also change the pH of your blood. So people fall for it because they find they start drinking alkaline water. It's healthy. I'm not saying it's not healthy, but it's a myth that it can prevent cancer. We have already discussed that cancer prevention is so many things, lifestyle, because prevention is not a shortcut. You cannot have a pill or a alkaline water and you will be cancer free. It's a systems approach which we have been discussing all this while.
True.
And being a social media influencer, I love being a social media influencer. The only thing I want to say is that whatever I share on my page, it's like this day-to-day question. Anybody comes in my clinic, asks me this question, I try and make a video about it, so that apart from that one patient which I'm helping, I can reach millions more. And that is the power of social media. So I think everyone should come on social media, but they need to guard it carefully and not spend their full day on social media. You have to, again, attention span is very, very crucial. So you should dedicate time, and where you can explore social media, you can connect with people, you can watch some fun reels maybe, and some science-backed reels like me or some other great. There are so many great healthcare influencers which actually keep on teaching you a lot of things. But don't believe anybody blindly. Do your own research.
Agreed. And I think it is very important because every time you go on social media, obviously the system recommends based on your patterns, and it's like how you are built. And it's a whole different topic that I've had previously with one of the other social media expert, right, who talks about how this addiction works. So it's a whole battle in itself. But I think the more important thing is you go on social media with an intention, and then find out what do you want from that respective social media. Like, do you want, and then figure out those respective people. Don't get distracted. There's a lot of distraction on social media, so it's on you to control that.
So, and health, since we're talking about health is everything what you consume, including the food we already discussed, but including the content which you are consuming.
True.
If you're already all the time watching news, I think news is terrible, and even social media is to an extent bad. True. Because people try to do fear-driven videos. That's not actually great.
Yeah.
You have to, again, be conscious of the content which you're consuming. Agreed. And in this way, algorithm is great. For me, whenever I go, I only see positive, motivating growth mindset and nice videos, biohacking, because I am involved in this. But
Exactly.
for people who are like scared and anxious, or cancers, who are worried about
Yeah.
any financial issues,
Yeah.
those kinds of only videos will be pop. So be clever, be wise, that that videos is coming because you are at that mindset. Go to a different page.
Agreed.
There are so many motivational page where you can change your algorithm if you do random new searches rather than just following the algorithm blindly.
I love it. I love it. I think you hit a nail on the top, right? This is very important
Yeah.
because that's how I discovered you. It's all about the kind of content you are following, the kind of content you consume. That's how you can leverage algorithm
Mm,
to your advantage, because then it
mm.
starts recommending you accounts that are similar or
Absolutely.
in sync with
In
you.
that way, it's great. In
Exactly.
that way, it's great. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
great actually.
I think the second question that I had was more in line with the first one, which you just covered right now. So I don't think we
Mm,
don't necessarily need to dive there. But there's one last question which I think is important, and this is to do with your own personal experience, right? So
mm,
it's
mm.
like, what's a moment when science failed you? I think you briefly touched upon that, but and in this scenario, in one, maybe it could be one of your surgeries, right? Like you knew you had to do this, but you realized this is not going to work, and then your intuition took over, and probably you did something in the surgery which actually helped you course correct.
So during one laparoscopy surgery is I like to do it very meticulously. First of all, laparoscopy surgery is very minimally invasive. You don't cut
Hmm.
into the body. There's hardly any blood. But in one difficult cancer patient, we were operating her laparoscopically, and suddenly there was a point which started bleeding. The vitals started dropping, and tech couldn't guide us exactly what is happening. So in most things, again, surgeons have to be very calm minded and rather
Hmm.
panic in situations. So I actually paused, I closed my eye for a couple of moments, and then my intuition told me to just take my camera back and see from a wider perspective, and then I could see the issue. So these are moments when your intuition
Hmm.
actually takes over, and I call it, actually, definitely it's intuition, but like very favorite topic of mine is called the flow state.
Hmm.
There is everybody, like in
Yeah.
this, like last 1 hour, I think 1 hour 15 minutes has passed by because we were in flow. And
Yes.
we, many people in life, on very commonly we use that we were in flow, life is in flow.
Yes.
And so but I would like to say that flow is actually a neuroscientific state in our minds, and
Hmm.
it's a state where neurochemically there is dopamine, our motivational chemical, which is in our minds, and which spikes in our brain, the motivation chemical. Oxytocin, our connection chemical.
Yes.
Serotonin, we already touched about it, the happiness hormone.
Yes.
Endorphins are natural painkillers, and other
Yes.
hormones like norepinephrine and anandamide. All these six neurochemical cocktails happen in our brains, and it makes you perform at your peak. So
Hmm.
for example, as a surgeon, obviously I experience flow quite often when there is a difficult laparoscopic surgery.
Hmm.
And flow, body can get more flow in life. So many people, being a surgeon, I am also a bird photographer, I didn't mention, I'm also a scuba diver, I'm also a nature
Yeah.
conservationist, I am so many things. And people ask me that how do I do so many things, how do I have time in life? So
Hmm.
the answer to I give is that I been more of flow state. And it's this
Hmm.
a formula to achieve flow, which everybody can achieve. First is the struggle. For example, being a laparoscopic surgeon, I had to study, I had to master my skills to
Yes.
have my. So that was the struggle part. Then
Hmm.
during a surgery, which you asked me right now, difficult surgery, sometimes there is a moment when obviously I've been trained for 15 years, so I know everything. But there is a moment where I don't have a clear step. Then
Yes.
I
Yeah.
surrender or I release, and
Hmm.
my intuition picks over, and I go into the state of flow. So the cycle of flow is, first is struggle, you have to learn. For example, even a musician, learning is,
Yes.
there is a playing a piano, you have to go through the struggle phase. Then
Yes.
during the stage, you improvise and you
Hmm.
get released into that moment, and then you get into flow. So flow is a state where even time starts to pass strangely around you. You
Hmm.
think it's been minutes, but it will be hours. And
Yes.
so that's how you can, time literally expands, you can live more, you can do more. And in flow, scientifically, your productivity enhances by 500%.
Wow.
But one key thing, again, bringing to the last cycle of flow, one was struggle, one was release, and the third is the flow state itself. The fourth stage, which we need to do more, to be in more flow in life is recover. So if you
Hmm.
want to be more in recovery, is again the key step is hydration, nutrition, but one of the key things is sleep. If you
Yeah.
let your body detoxify, let your brain detoxify, so then you will automatically be in more flow in life, and everybody would like to be in more flow in life. I have
True.
actually, being a surgeon, I love the state of flow, so I have released a song on Spotify. I'm no musician also, but I
Interesting.
wrote my biohacking, what I do on a daily basis, my biohacking protocol. I wrote a script, and then I am no expert in AI, but with AI I made the song in 2 hours. Then
Wow.
ultimately it took me 3 months to get it released on Spotify because of the logistics issues.
Yeah.
But it's the song is called Go with the Flow, and you can
Okay.
go to Spotify and search Go with the Flow Dr. Arpit, because I'm not a musician, so I'm not that
Yeah.
famous yet. So then you can listen to my biohacking protocol. It's an amazing song. My 7-year-old daughter, it's a favorite song. And even in Europe, I after giving my talk, I played this, and people actually started dancing, because if you listen to the lyrics, they are deeply science, and actually my true biohacking protocol, which I do every day.
Interesting. So what I'm gonna do is I will include the link to that song as well
Hmm.
on our podcast description so that people can easily go ahead and find it. There was one question
Absolutely.
which I think was I did not cover it. So you said hydration is very important, right? Which we agree on. So what's an ideal hydration? 8 glasses of water, like 2 liters of water every day. Is
I'm
that what?
glad you asked me this question, because that's the common thing. So again, it is very, very personal. It cannot
Hmm.
be an answer in glasses. It depends whether I'm spending more day in my AC room, whether I did my morning run or not, whether I
Hmm.
am what I ate in last night, what I ate 24 hours back, how is my gut, how is my immune system, how is my activity levels, whether I'm living in Allahabad or whether I'm living in Bangalore. There are so
Yeah.
many things. So to give you an answer in nutshell, thirst. We all usually drink water when we are
Hmm.
thirsty, right? But
Yeah.
thirst again is a very, very delayed physiological response. So our
Hmm.
bodies is been made very, very adaptive, so that when we were in hunter gatherer approach, when we were in jungle nature, we could survive for longer with even without water. But to
Yes.
be in an optimal state of health, and to avoid,
Hmm.
not just avoid diseases, but for peak performance, we should actually, there are two things how much water you should drink is: number one, forget the feeling of thirst, because if you are
Hmm.
thirsty, then you are cellularly dehydrated to a
Hmm.
great level, and most people are living in a state of chronic cellular dehydration. That is the cause of a lot of metabolic diseases, even
Hmm.
cancers. I briefly mentioned that. So number one is, keep your water bottle next to me. I have my water bottle next to me
I see.
all the
Yeah.
time, and keep sipping water. Obviously, it's good to have water. It's very personal. Somebody wants to have hot water, cold water. There is no set rule for it. So in the morning, it's good to have water, but everybody is different. The main thing is, try and forget the feeling of thirst. You should never feel thirsty in life. That is the main goal. And second,
Hmm.
whenever you go to the washroom, just watch your own urine color, pee color. It
Hmm.
has to be as transparent as water, or just maybe just faintly yellow, where you can't appreciate the yellow color of the urine. If it is slightly yellow, wake up at that instant and start drinking water. And these
Hmm.
two things will keep your hydration levels to optimal. There are so many other things you need to consume: electrolytes. Keep peak hydration is not just consuming water. You need to consume electrolytes. You consume more water based fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but in
Okay.
nutshell, this is the answer. So there is 8 to 10 glasses is a broad thing. You can have 8 to 10 glasses, but again, more important is avoid thirst and keep sipping water, and watch your own urine color. Your kidneys are
Yes.
beautiful; they will guide you. And
Yes.
don't worry about overhydration. There is another misconception where people
Yes.
think that overhydration can kill you. So
Hmm.
that is a very, very extreme scenario, and most likely overhydration can only be fatal for people like marathon runners, athletes who are performing for
Yeah.
running for 6 hours, and they are only drinking water and not taking the
Correct.
electrolytes. So
Correct.
overhydration for general people, I think this should clear your mind. You cannot die of overhydration. You cannot overhydrate yourself unless you're a marathon runner and you are forgetting the electrolytes and all those things.
And when you say electrolytes, this is what I heard in one of the other people that I listen to, right, in podcast, someone that I really like and I interact with him. And he said
Hmm.
one of the best ways for you to get electrolyte is probably if you're drinking water as soon as you wake up, right? Take a pinch of salt and
Hmm.
probably add it.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's good. I have Celtic salt. If I were to tell you, Celtic salt is
Okay.
a kind of a sea salt. That's even
Yes.
better. to
Okay.
have it with morning. But again, everybody is different. So there
Hmm.
cannot be a golden rule. The golden
I
rule which
see.
I have told you are two: try
Yes.
and avoid thirst and try and watch your urine color. That will take care of your that is
Everything.
for everyone. This everybody can follow this. There is no bad thing about it. But yeah, it's a good action to have some water with salt in the morning. That's a
Okay.
good biohack actually.
Okay, perfect. And I know we are coming to the end. So there's one last question that I do want to ask you, and this is something I ask almost all my guests, right? And this is more like an hypothetical question. You'll have to probably imagine this. Let's imagine this is probably the end of the world, right? And all the knowledge, all the speech that we had, all of that is going to be taken away. And then it is only going to be the younger generation that is going to be leaving forward. Only they could live, all of us are going to pass, right? Now, there is only two advice you can give these individuals, your kids, right, on how they could spend an optimal life, a healthy life. Two advices. What those two advices would you share?
Number one advice is connect with nature, kids, because nature will give you all the answers. And number two also goes with that, that try to understand your biology, try to sync your body with the lifestyle. With so for example, few billion years ago there was a meteor, you might have known, and the earth, every
Yes.
dinosaur era came to an end.
Yep.
Then nature built itself again. So
Yes.
number one thing is stay connected to nature in any form. Find it like a passion to be connected with nature. Go hug a tree if you would want to.
Mm.
Actually, that'll bring you so much peace and joy. And
Mm-hmm.
number two, just surrender and just go with the flow. So these are two advices:
Mm.
nature and go with the flow.
Awesome. And how can people reach out to you, Dr. Arpit?
My Instagram is there. My Instagram is the best way. I have loads of questions and followers. I do these kinds of podcasts internationally also. People, Instagram is a great way. I have a team, but yeah, I try and answer my messages personally also. So that's the best way. And my number is also actually quite there in the open. If you just search my name on Google, you'll get a lot of information about me. And my number WhatsApp also is there. So if anybody's in urgent need of help, or I do online consultations to a lot of people. Many of my clients and patients are in Bangalore, as a matter of fact, and in Chennai, in all over the world actually. So I see all this knowledge. Uh, One thing again, which I would like to say is, today information is there wide and free to everybody. So don't limit yourselves. There is
Mm.
unlimited amount of information. Try and find and learn from the best people in the world. That's what I am doing. When in my time, keep listening to podcasts, keep reading books. No amount of social media, amount of podcast can give you more information than books, because
True.
books, the amount of depth information which books, even 10 minutes of reading a book, I think this habit all youngsters should try and adapt. That you should try and read obviously things which you're interested in, but probably which you don't know too much about it, and find a book, just read 10 minutes. It will
Yeah.
reduce your stress level, it will bring you to blue mind, and it is so powerful. It is called neuroplasticity, again a
Yes.
neuro spicy word,
Yeah.
which will
Yeah.
keep your brain on top of your game all the time.
True, because there's a lot of evidence, right? Scientific evidence that points that when people do read books, at least for 5 or 10 minutes, there are new connections formed inside their
So the
brains,
science says
neurons.
that just reading 10 minutes a book can reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormones level, by
Wow.
up to 70%. And it
Wow.
outperforms going for a walk, it outperforms listening music to music, or it outperforms having a cup of green tea. So all these three things definitely reduces stress. But reading 10 minutes of books is more powerful than that.
Correct, correct. Love it, love it. I know we have covered a lot of ground today, Dr. Arpit. Thank you so much, for taking your time out and joining us on this show, sharing all of this important wisdom, knowledge with the folks. Now, the knowledge obviously is with the folks. Now it's up to them to go ahead and incorporate them into their lives. All we could do is share it. Now it's up to these individuals to go ahead and work on themselves to improve.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Shilawath. It was a
awesome.
pleasure to be on the growth mindset, and I love the word again I'm saying.
Thank you so much.